All right, people. I'm here with Tyler Rowan, T. Rowan, R-O-W-A-N, and this is the frickin' Shredder. And we're in Hungry Valley, motorcycle place. People do ATVs and motorcycles and off-road vehicles. We just rode some, and now we're gonna do a little. We're gonna hear some noises in the background, but whatever.
Little rap action.
We're gonna talk about. We're gonna leverage Tyler's knowledge of all things technology, and we're gonna talk about top e-bike questions. So we have some questions that we think might be of interest to you, and we're gonna just kind of talk about them. So what do we got?
So here we go. Top e-bike questions with gas bike noises in the background.
Exactly.
We got number one, how can I get more torque? So this is a common question I've been asked. I've seen other people ask it. How do you get more torque out of your bike? Well, since torque is proportional to current, right, that you're feeding the motor, if you can increase your amps somehow, whether that means unlocking your controller, you know, and upping that amp current setting, or getting a bigger battery, bigger motor controller so that you can push more amps, that's going to give you more torque. The other way to get more torque would be a gearing change, right? So you can actually go with a bigger sprocket. If you don't have a hub motor, if you have a sprocket driven rear end or mid-drive motor setup, you can go with a bigger sprocket, and that will also increase your torque.
The other things, you know, these aren't hacks, these are like changes. But a mid-drive motor, as opposed to a hub motor, gives you a lot more torque, bigger battery, and a more powerful controller. So those are just some thoughts.
Yeah. The next question we have is, how can I get more top speed? So this is a good question. So you can get more top speed a couple different ways. So voltage is also proportional to your speed, right? So the higher your voltage, the higher your speed, right? Theoretically. So you can go with a higher voltage battery or controller setup so that you get more speed out of your vehicle. You can also change your gearing the other way, right? So the trade-off is torque or speed, right? So if you want more speed, you can go with a smaller rear sprocket for your rear end and your mid-drive setup to get more top speed.
Yeah, and similar. I mean, again, size of motor, size of battery, etc. It's going to give you more top speed. So, for example, I have a 750 watt mid drive, and it goes like 28 miles an hour. And then I have a 7,000 watt hub motor, and it goes 50 miles an hour because it's got a 72 volt battery and it's got just a much more powerful motor. And it's also the controller too. So there's a lot of variables. Hopefully this gives you some insight. All right.
So the next question, how can I get more range? How can you get more range? Well, number one, you can stop riding like a crazy person and ride more like your grandma.
Is that possible?
It's not possible for a lot of us.
Not for me.
If you want to extend your range, just don't ride balls out, you know? If you just cut back, you could probably squeeze, you know, a couple more miles out of your setup. Wow, right.
That was that freaking tornado thing.
Do I need to grab suits on these?
Just a freaking tornado.
Just a random burst.
All right, the other thing, so riding, the way you ride definitely can help. If you're going down a hill, don't use throttle, just coast, for example. If you have a bike with pedals and you're going uphill, pedal at the same time, you know, use pedal assist. The other thing is you can carry an extra battery. Some bikes have, you know, 36 volt batteries that are light, and you can put an extra battery in your backpack. Or even if it has a 48 volt and you're willing to carry it, just put another battery in your backpack, and then you can just swap. Or some people run them concurrent. They just have like a bike that has a battery on the main stem, and they put one underneath the seat. So that's another option.
Yeah. One last point would be regenerative braking. If you have the ability to set that percent of regen, you can increase that to capture a little bit more energy under braking, right? If you have the ability to change those settings. So yeah, that's good. Let's go to the next one. So how can I make my bike more comfortable? You wanna touch on this one here?
Yeah, I mean, there's some obvious things. One, most people don't think about it. Wear bike shorts. A lot of people. I actually have padded bike shorts on right now. These things have pads in them. These are like BMX shorts. Or you could use cycling shorts that have the pad underneath your bottom. That's one way. Another way is boost your springs. Some bikes come with springs, like a center spring in the back, or suspension forks. Get better ones, right? Or some of them are adjustable. Just dial it in, make it a little tighter, make it a little looser, just according to your liking, right?
Yeah, what else? Absolutely. You can go with, you know, different foot pegs, right? Or instead of if you want to get rid of your bicycle pedals and just go full moped or dirt bike, you could always get pegs. And to me, I like riding on pegs better than, you know, staggered.
Oh, more stability,
pedals,
for sure.
Right? Just personally, but
yeah.
you could also go with a different seat. You know, if there's an upgrade option there. I know some of the Super 73s and the other e-bikes have seat upgrades, you know, that you can purchase with more padding, you know, etc. So,
yeah, like that brings up a point. I used to have a motorcycle with a bench seat, kind of like a Suron or you know, like Tyler's, like a what do you call it? Like a Stealth. They have ATV seats that you can. It's like a thick padding. It's like a blanket almost, and it wraps around the bottom of the seat. You can put that on there. I've seen people do that just for extra padding. So it's all about, like, are you worried about style or are you worried about comfort? Right. If you're worried about comfort, a lot of things you can do.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Can I replace my tires with any tires? That's a great question. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe what's going to limit you in your tire selection is going to be your rim size, right? Your wheel size. So you can find out what tire size you have by looking at your tire, right? It should be written on there. And then you can determine what size rim you have, and you can look at different tire sizes according to that. And then you can kind of get an idea as to what range of tires you can run. So.
Yeah, and from an electric bike standpoint, a lot of the tire sizes are like on a big mountain bike, electric mountain bike. It could be 29 inches, it could be 27 and a half or 26 inches. You get into the Super 73 kind of bikes, the e-moto bikes, they're usually like 20 inch by 4 inch. So that you got the circumference and you've got the width. So you have to make sure both of those are in line. But there's also then some manufacturers like Super 73 that has a custom size. It's 20 by 4, but you can't buy any 20 by 4 inch tire. You have to get certain ones. I bought Kenda Crusades to try to have a more of a dirt tire, and they don't fit. So you have to buy Super 73's tires. So some manufacturers have the custom sizes too, you know. So that's just something to think about.
Sure. All right. If I play with my display settings, what performance adjustments can I make? So this is obviously going to depend on what type of bike you have and what type of display that you have as well. I won't touch on any specific e-bikes, maybe you can, but I'll just touch on the Cycle Analyst, right? It's a very popular DIY display option, and with the Cycle Analyst you have the ability to change your battery current limit, right? You have the ability to change your low voltage cutoff. You have the ability to change what's displayed on the screen itself. I'm trying to think of what other performance adjustments there are, though. I don't think there are too many. So, do you know of any?
Well, there are a couple other things you can do. One, a lot of bikes come locked at a certain speed, like 20 miles an hour. So it could be a class 2 bike, and therefore you could ride it in the bike lane and not get in trouble. But a lot of them have, if you go on YouTube or their website, they have the ability to unlock it for a higher level speed.
Pick one off here. This is a really good one. Popular question as well. What's the difference between a battery's watts, amp hours, and watt hours? So this is one.
This is a Tyler question.
Oh yeah,
this matters.
I see people mix up amps, amp hours, watts, watt hours all the time. Okay, there are people, you know, mixing units of power with units of energy. All right, and so the biggest deal here, without going into a physics lesson, is to understand that power is, energy is power that you're using over time. So there's a time component to it, right? So you're not instantaneously, you know, measuring energy. Energy is measured over time, and that's the power that you've used over time. So basically, if you're using 1 kilowatt to travel down the road, right, for 1 hour, that energy equivalent that you've used would be 1 kilowatt hour. You're literally multiplying the time by the power that you've used, okay? So energy is measured with kilowatt hours or amp hours, right? And same with amps. So you multiply amps by the time that you've used that many amps, or that you've put that many amps back into the battery, right? Which would be considered negative amp hours, right? That you've added back when you're charging, for instance, or using regen. So that's the difference between watts and watt hours. One is, you know, instantaneous power that you're using at any given time, and the watt hours are the energy or the power that you've used over time. So hopefully that kind of explains the difference between the two. You want to touch on that?
Yeah, from a more of a layman standpoint, I'm a professor, and then we have a 5th grader over here. Most bikes, electric bikes, tell you the voltage of the battery, 48 volt, 36 volt, 60 volt if it's a Suron, 72 volt if it's a Stealth, and then they tell you the amp hours. The amp hours kind of correlate with actual size of the battery and how much capacity you're going to have. So let's say you have a, let's use a Super 73 for example. I keep using that. It's because it's very standard. A lot of people have Super 73s. Super 73R that I have has a 48 volt battery and a 20 amp hour battery. So you multiply 48 by 20, you come up with 960. That's how many watt hours it has. And just for an example, a lot of bikes have like 12 or 14 amp hours, which means that they have like 670 or 700 watt hours. A 700 watt hour battery is going to probably get 5 or 6 miles less distance than a 900 watt hour battery. So the real key number is the watt hours. If they give you that, you're in great shape. If it has between 4 and 5 or 600 watt hours, you might get 18 to 20 miles range. If you have upwards of 7 to 900, you might get in the mid 20s. If you have above that, the range just kind of goes up proportionally. Yeah. But if you don't have watt hours and they just give you amp hours and the volts of the battery, multiply the two, you get watt hours.
Yeah. If you ever want to calculate that yourself, take your amp hour number and multiply that by your nominal voltage, not your voltage fully charged, right? You don't want to, if you tap out at 84 volts, right, fully charged, you don't use that number actually. You use your nominal voltage. The nominal cell voltage is 3.7 volts. So however many cells you have in series, let's say that equals 74 volts nominal. You multiply your 74 by your amp hour number. So that's a common misconception as well, as people take their fully charged voltage and multiply it, thinking they have more energy than they actually do. So
how would you know what your volts are? You have to look on the display of your bike?
Yeah, you look at your display. A lot of times packs are rated in the series and parallel format. That means you might have 20 cells, right? 20 18650 cells in series, but have, 13 of those in parallel. So the more you put in parallel, the higher your amp hour count. The more you put in series, the higher your voltage. So these packs are a literal combination between putting these cells in series and in parallel. So you would know if you knew that you had 20 cells in series, you would take your nominal cell voltage of 3.7 and multiply that by 20, which should give you, I think, 74.
So I've heard of a lot of people that actually, they're technical people that build their own batteries.
Oh yeah.
So what are they actually doing? And are they putting them in parallel or are they putting them in series?
Both. They'd be putting them in both. So the easiest way, we'll go on a battery build tangent here for a second. The easiest way to build your pack would be to first and foremost put your cells into parallel, and then you'd use nickel tabs and spot weld your cells into groups of parallel, right? And then you would spot weld them into groups of series cells. And the reason you would do that is because the BMS, or the battery management system that you use, is going to look at a group of cells as one cell when you put them into parallel first. Okay. Otherwise, if you put a bunch of cells into series and then put them into parallel, you would have to multiply the number of BMSs by the number of cells, strings that you're putting in parallel. It's kind of hard to describe without drawing all of this out, but basically, long story short, put your cells into groups of parallel first, and then put them into series, and you decrease the amount of connections that you have to use for your battery management system. It makes for a much more simpler pack.
So you have two DIY bikes. You have a folding bike, and then you have like a stealth bomber kind of. Why haven't you built your own battery?
Well, I got this battery for a deal. So number one, I just saved money, right?
But you're not getting the best range.
I'm not. So I am considering building a pack out of 21700s, the newer cell format. Okay. The other question though is if I want to put that in this bike or if I want to, go with something else.
Right.
If I were to buy something off the shelf, there's no reason for me to build a pack. Right. But I have built packs in the past. I've used spot welders and I've built 18650 packs. I bought what I thought were nickel strips, and they ended up being stainless steel, and that did not fare well. Turns out when you buy from sketchy Chinese sites and you don't check your nickel strips with a magnet, you might end up with stainless steel. And stainless
fire?
Oh yeah, it caught all the heat shrink on fire because it has very high resistance. So when we fired the scooter that we were building up for the first time, just all the strips glowed red hot. It just trashed the whole thing. So
we just thought it was a good idea to kind of touch base and bring in answer some cool questions. I mean, it's a nice, you can see it's a nice balance here where I've got the practical and a lot of experience with various bikes. Tyler has the technical, and I just think it's a great balance.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad I could bring a little bit of nerding to your videos.
That's what it is.
To your channel.